Joining us now in the Hyundai Texans radio studios, head coach Lovie Smith. Coach, wanted to ask you about this because from the get-go, you've been talking about the Colts, how this is a divisional opponent. It's a team the Texans have had a lot of history with. And you had all those years in Chicago with the Packers, maybe the oldest rivalry in the NFL. What brought you on to knowing so much about the history between the Colts and the Texans and how big this one is beyond just opening day?
Well, I'm a football fan, so the history part, you just kind of follow it. But, I was here last year, and that's when you get a feel for the division. It's always about what you do in the division first. And for us to be able to open up with the division opponent, one that dominated us last year. The Colts have been one of the better teams in the league for a period of time now. And we need to become relevant again. And what better way to start than to start against someone like them?
Coach, I started to think that maybe you were listening to Marc's discussion every time he talked about the Colts because he uses the words hate. Now, it's a football hate, but he uses the words hate very, very strongly about the Colts. Coach, we've watched the Colts many times, but this version of the Colts, what makes them good? What are the keys in getting a W against them? And what are the things that you got to stop defensively? And what are the things you got to do offensively to move it against them?
Offensively, for us, going against their defense, it starts, we talk about, the D-line being the engine of our defense. It's the same way with them. Gus Bradley's been a good football coach for a long period of time, so that'll be a challenge for us. Our offensive line, key matchups, our offensive line versus their defensive line. It's kind of simple as that. We want to run the football, so that's going to tell us an awful lot. And then on the other side of the football, for us, that matchup, they've added one of the great quarterbacks to play our game, and Matt Ryan. Long history with him, of course, when he was with the Falcons. So that'll be a big challenge for us. And I'm going to go back. They dominated us last year. 31-3, 31-0. So that in itself should be enough to motivate us. And in our division, we got to make some ground on that. So we're excited about this. We're healthy right now. The guys are really pumped up. Can't wait to get started.
Well, you and I talked about this during the last preseason game about how you'd handle these 2 weeks between that game and the opening day. Obviously, whatever you have left of this week of practice, how do you handle that, Coach, physically especially with what you want to get accomplished that way?
Well, our players have been off 3 days, Mark, so you want to get back into football. And that's why this Monday practice after that 3-day layoff is very important. And for us, we just got off the practice field. And then just getting the guys into the, the game week a little bit sooner. Normally for us, our first practice against an opponent would be a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So for us to start a couple of days early is big.
Coach, Matt Ryan, you mentioned him earlier, a guy that has seen it all, probably done it all. Doesn't run exceptionally well, so he's going to be a pocket guy. As you face a guy like Matt Ryan when he's seen pretty much everything, as you're over there kind of playing the chess match with him in some sense for what you're going to show him and whatnot, how difficult is it to face a guy that has 15 years in the league, that has really seen it pretty much all? Maybe not seen everything you have, but how difficult does that make it when you face a guy that is that, A, that cerebral, but B, knows pretty much everything there is in NFL defenses that he's faced?
Well, that's harder, John, when you play a quarterback, and he pretty much has seen about, not going to surprise him with a lot of things, but it's about after the ball is snapped, though, as much as anything. Then it's about execution. And, just our offense, to me, of course, our quarterback would run the ball a little bit more. We know coming in, it's not like Matt's going to start running read option or anything like that. But he didn't have to. He's going to hand the ball off to one of the best players in the league, in Jonathan Taylor. So that combination, having to stop the run, and, of course, quarterback can make all of the throws, would be a big challenge.
Coach, I imagine you have most of the 47 or 48 players you're going to bring to the game in mind right now, but are there positions or spots on Sunday that can be won this week? I know you have some new faces out there as well in practice.
You talking about practice before or the game? Wise?
Yeah, well, just to bring to the game based on what you see in practice.
Well, no, you always evaluate, Marc, right up until. So these practices are important. For the most part, we do know. But, injuries pop up, so we're just going to keep keep going through. We'll finalize everything at the end of the week. But there's probably about 2 or 3 positions where it could go either way a little bit on who dresses. That's why these days are so important.
Coach, the transition from training camp in which you might be more of an evaluator, so to speak, as opposed to, hey, we got to go win, now we got to get into game plan mode. Is that a transition that you like making, going from, hey, we're going to kind of see who makes this roster and all that, but now we got the roster, let's go play? Do you like making that transition? How do you like that?
Love making that transition. And once you get to this week, just talking with a few guys for practice day, once you get to this week, it is on. And really, it didn't start today.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
About a week ago, really after the last preseason game, you start really, you know who your opponent is, and you start getting ready then. So that's how it's been for us. But finalizing the game plan, for us, our win this week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, those practices are a must, and we know what we're going to do, and just can't wait before, it's Sunday, and all the talking is gone.
What's important or most important for these new faces, Coach? O.J. Howard, Tyler Johnson, players like that who are coming into the culture for the first time here to get acclimated as quickly as possible so they can help out?
Well, it's just that. And they both came in, and you're anxious to get started. So we've been trying to catch them up mentally as much as possible. That's why an extra practice this week, too, helps an awful lot. This Monday, the first time they were out practice with their new teammates. And like what we saw from both of those guys, as you talk about, what might happen a little bit at the end of the week, here are two players we haven't seen. So to see how quick they can get up and see if they can get into the mix is always exciting, too.
Coach, I asked you the other day whether you got a chance to watch college games on the weekend. And I asked you that just as a football fan, but it got me thinking about something that happened last night on Sunday night in the LSU-Florida State game. Do you have opportunities, or do you take opportunities when you see something happen? Maybe you're just watching a game and you're like, wait a second, something happened in that game. Boy, I got to make a note of that and share that with my team because I do not want to see that happen to my team. Have you had instances like that?
Absolutely. I'm a fan, yes. And I'm watching it just like every other fan, but it's a little bit deeper than that.
Yeah.
It's always about situational football. And not just last night. I watched a lot of games this weekend,
yeah, exactly.
too. And seemed like there was something in every game, especially when you start the season. It seemed like more of these situations pop up. Now you're always learning. And just not us as coaches. Sure. I encourage players, watch as many football games as you can. Any high school, junior high school, college, watch it all. You can learn something from it.
Well, we talked about the communication among the coaching staff members when we got into the preseason, but now you get into the regular season where you have halftime adjustments and things like that. So week one is going to be a real, not trial run, but your first time doing that in this context, right?
Yeah, it is, but we try to hit as many situations, Marc, as possible. The preseason is just about everything we've done so far is getting ready for the Colts. So I think just about every situation, our players haven't played a full game. But besides that, we've gone through our halftime routine, where guys stand, when you use the restroom, anything, when you get ready, get your helmet, get ready to go out, pregame, how you handle it. You just have to make a couple tweaks. Like our pregame routine, we've been doing it, initially we were doing it with 90 players. Now, of course, we're going to have about 48 players out there doing it. So you have to tweak some things like that. But for the most part, we're ready to go.
Coach, one of the things, and you mentioned it when you said helmet, I'm so fascinated by this. The coach comp system, the ability for you to be able to talk to your defensive play caller and obviously Pep or whomever talking to Davis. I'm fascinated by that because they can't talk back to you, but you can talk to them and keep that communication going. I don't know how long you've been able to do that and for how many years you've been able to do that because I can't remember when they put the coach comp system in. But do you like that system as opposed to hand signals or wristbands or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. In college you can't communicate, of course, with the guys on the field, and you have to worry about people stealing your signals and all that. But the college game is not like that. And for me though, I still do it a little differently. Miles, I give the call. Miles talks to the linebackers. But that system works. The only way to do it, that really has eliminated a lot of the stuff that's just not football.
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't have to worry about teams stealing your signals and all that. You should be able to communicate privately with our quarterback or our linebacker, let him get it to the guys and play ball from there.
Coach, we read your letter, and we really enjoyed it. Letter to the fans, and it came out over the weekend. What about being in the building here for the first time in a regular season situation on Sunday with the Liberty White kickoff game?
Oh, Mark, it's just exciting. And just going back to our fans, in order for us to complete this turnaround, to become relevant again, we cannot do it without our fans. They're excited. I mean, it's football time. We talk about this weekend. College games are here in full force. And this weekend, of course, the NFL season starting. And throughout all of my time, and I've been doing this a few years, you always want to start off the season at home, and feel that energy from the home crowd. So I'm pumped up. The fans have let me know, too, how excited they are, and they know what their job. Like, we're all getting ready. We're on the football field practice. Our fans are getting ready for it, too. And I know that this is going to be a place that opposing teams aren't going to want to come into. And what better way to start it off than this weekend against the Colts?
Coach, your trip to Uvalde this past weekend, how was that?
It was, I had an idea. We all know what the town, the city has gone through.
Right.
But to be able to really just not see it from afar, to go into the town, and they were all just gracious hosts. And all we were trying to do is just, everybody's trying, how can you help,
right,
some of our people in need. And for us, the football team, for me to spend time with Coach Miller, with Wade and what he's done with their athletes, and then to see our organization on how we come out in force, really, is what we do, to just bring support, to see ambassadors from our football team, Kamu Gruger-Hill, Kristen Kirksey, to see them interact. They can read some of the players a little bit better than we can. I can talk to the coaches, but player to player. I mean, so it was just a great weekend, and how exciting for them too. Yeah. We're trying to win a game. For them to get 2 wins, and in the fashion that they won this past weekend, is pretty special.
Coach, the Amegy Bank Ask Coach question of the week. We're going to be doing this every week, and this week it's about youth coaching, because you started coaching middle school ball, right?
Yes, I did. Proud of that. Everybody should get a chance to coach our youth. Mm-hmm. And I have grandchildren playing ball. I mean, that's it's pretty special when young people start learning our game and seeing how important it is. The things you learn in football about being a good teammate, responsibility, discipline, all of these things. But, yeah, I started off as a junior high school coach back at Big Sandy High School a long time ago, and those relationships. One day at training camp this past year, one of my 7th grade players came up to training camp. Mm-hmm. So these relationships that you form, and in our state, there's such good high school football too, for you to be able to see. So if you need a football fix, starting Thursday night on until Sunday, you can get it, of course, here in Houston and, of course, throughout.
Coach, thanks so much for joining us. Best of luck this week.
Anytime. Looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.